The impossible just became reality. While the world watched in disbelief, one man picked up the phone and ended a war that experts said would rage for years. Every hostage home, every family reunited. The bombs have stopped falling. The killing has ended. From Jerusalem to Washington, from Cairo to the UN, diplomats are stunned. Even his harshest critics are admitting what we have known all along. This president doesn't just talk about peace, he delivers it. The same man they called a warmonger has just achieved what Obama, Biden, and decades of career politicians couldn't. This is history in the making. Now, if you didn't know this yet, gold has gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere, and prices keep climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are catching on to the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's simple and safe and built for the long run? Well, that's where Nobel Gold Investments comes in. Nobel Gold specialists are trained to help investors just like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA, or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Nobel Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service. You're not calling an Indian call center, okay? This team has handled over $2.5 billion in precious metals transactions. With Nobel Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it is their commitment. Visit nextnewsgold.com and claim your free wealth protection kit and see if you qualify for that silver bonus. Hit the link down below, nextnewsgold.com. Nobel Gold's going to help you build a stronger future. Or you can call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347, and tell Colin that Gary said hello. Now, here is, we're witnessing history, folks. This is Senator John Fetterman is leading the committee to get Trump the Nobel Peace Prize.
We'll see what happens. Do you think the president deserves a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, if this sticks, I think the whole point of having a Nobel Peace Prize is for ending wars and promoting peace. And now I'm going to make a direct appeal to the president. I hope he chooses to provide the tomahawks to the Ukrainians too, and give them the tools that they need to push back against Russia. And if he brings the Ukrainian war to its end, I'll be the Democrat leading the committee for his Nobel Prize Peace for ending both of these terrible wars.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Senator, do you think the president deserves a Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, and then there's this. Check this out. Barack Obama posted this 7 hours ago. After 2 years of unimaginable loss and suffering for Israeli families and the people of Gaza, we should all be encouraged and relieved that an end to the conflict is within sight, that those hostages still being held will be reunited with their families, and that vital aid can start reaching those inside Gaza whose lives have been shattered. And, of course, he doesn't mention President Trump, but even Barack Obama says we should be encouraged and relieved. Here's President Trump in the Oval Office talking about the Nobel Peace Prize. If you recall, we reported a couple of weeks back 40,000 Cambodian monks nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. The Cambodian Prime Minister nominating President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. It's happening all across the world. Fetterman, right? Let's listen to how the president's reacting to this news.
And I've stopped. I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period of 9 months. And I've stopped 8 wars. So that's never happened before. But they'll have to do what they do. Whatever they do is fine. I know this. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I saved a lot of lives. And that's the thing that bothers me so much about the Russia-Ukraine. 7,000 people are dying a week. Young soldiers. They're almost all soldiers of Ukraine and Russia. So in theory, it doesn't affect us, no, but it's a terrible thing. And we'll get that solved, too. But nobody has ever done 8 wars. Nobody's done 8 wars in 30 years, let alone 9 months. I know that.
He deserves it. There's no question. President Trump posting this on Truth Social, MAGA Voice, amplifying it. President Trump brokered the most impossible peace deal the world has ever seen. Nobody thought this was possible. Here's what he wrote. I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon. Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first step towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who will work with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Fetterman, of course, leading the charge. President Trump, Caroline Leavitt, saying President Trump is the peace president. Let's see, is this the same? No, this is in the cabinet meeting. It was also brought up.
Created, last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be, but we are getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, and that'll be a day of joy. I'm going to try and make a trip over. We're going to try and get over there, and we're working on the timing, the exact timing. We're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have a signing, an additional signing. We've already had a signing representing me, but we're going to have an official signing. Last night.
And a friend of mine, a colleague at the White House, let me know that he is likely going to be traveling with the president on that historic trip. So we'll have some inside information as that trip progresses. Here is Secretary Rubio in the cabinet meeting today.
I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. It really began with your trip to the Middle East, where these relationships were forged with partners in the region, personal relationships, close relationships that created the foundation where all of this was possible. Where I think this really took a turn. Remember, a month ago, no one thought this was possible. I don't know if one day perhaps.
Little Marco says, a month ago, I never thought this was possible. Here is more from Little Marco.
To say it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. Were forged with partners in the region. Where it really took a turn about a month ago, less than a couple weeks ago, is when we were at the United Nations. And you convened a historic meeting, not simply of Arab countries, but of Muslim-majority countries from around the world, including Indonesia was there, Pakistan was there, and created this coalition behind this plan. Then on that following Monday, you met with the Prime Minister of Israel here, and that plan was presented. And then, of course, our great negotiating team followed up on it. In the interim, again, perhaps the stories will be told, perhaps they will never be told. The president had some extraordinary phone calls and meetings that required a high degree of intensity and commitment and made this happen. And I think what's important to understand is that yesterday what happened was really a human story. There's a geopolitical aspect to it, there's no doubt about it. It creates the conditions for Gaza to one day be a normal place again and people to have a better life and Israelis to be safe. But yesterday was a human story. And because of the work you put in, and honestly, not only is there no other leader in the world that could have put this together, Mr. President, but frankly, I don't know of any American president in the modern era that could have made this possible. Because of the actions you have taken unrelated to this and because of who you are and what you've done and how you're viewed, And this weekend, because of that, at some point very soon, we are going to see 20 living human beings emerge from the darkness into the light for the first time in 2 years. And that is because...
Amen, man. Amen. Finally. President Trump, they've asked me to speak at the Knesset, and I've agreed to do it.
Well, they asked me to speak at the Knesset, and I've agreed to. If they would like me to, I will do it. It's the first time a president has ever done that, so that makes it very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will do it if they want me to. They have asked me.
There is a rate proposed community note on that. Should we look? Let's see what it says. The claim that no U.S. president ever addressed the Knesset is inaccurate. Clinton, George W. Bush, and Obama did so during their respective presidencies. Okay. All right, fine. Whatever. Okay, so here is President Trump talking about the phases of the deal.
Once the hostage. Looking ahead, what guarantees Hamas disarms and that Israel doesn't resume bombing once the hostages are released?
The first thing we're doing is getting our hostages back, okay? And that's what people wanted more than anything else. They wanted these hostages back that have lived in hell like nobody has ever even dreamt possible. And after that, we'll see. But they've agreed to things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well.
Looking ahead, what guarantee?
Okay, ABC News reporting something here. Martha Raddatz.
No question that.
Tell us about the role President Trump played in bringing all of this about.
Well, Robin, there's no question that if this goes as planned, if we see those remaining hostages freed and Israel begin its withdrawal, it is a remarkable achievement, and President Trump most certainly deserves credit for his role. He has done this through diplomacy, pressure, and the sheer force of his personality and persistence. He dispatched diplomats again and again, made threats just in the last few days to Hamas, saying again if they did not sign the deal, all hell would break loose. And they had the bombing of Iran as an example of that. But perhaps most importantly, he pushed Benjamin Netanyahu in ways his predecessor and others have not, Robin.
And what finally got the two sides to this point? And will it be able to get phase 2 off the ground?
Well, you know, Robin, throughout this process, President Trump never wavered in his support for Israel. But when Netanyahu ignored much of what Trump was trying to accomplish by continuing to bomb over the last few months, Trump laid down the hammer with Netanyahu, essentially saying enough is enough. Trump had also told Netanyahu that he was opening indirect negotiations with the Iranians, which put even more pressure on the Israeli prime minister. Obviously, the coming days will prove whether the rest of the plan comes to fruition. But if those hostages are freed, which would leave Hamas without their major bargaining tool, this is a huge moment for Donald Trump. Robin.
No way for the fake news to spin that. No way at all. Rapper response: posting tariffs had brought peace to the world. President Trump says, I'm telling you, they've brought peace to the world using tariffs as leverage. ABC's Selena Wang: this is an enormous moment for the world, but also for this administration, a big win for the president, who has been very personally involved in this. Wow, ABC really singing the praises. The president of peace. David Ignatius on MSNBC. The deal that POTUS is announcing played a key part in negotiating a significant change. President Biden, who preceded him, was unable to find a way to stop it. There's no way that I can see that this would have been done without Trump's pressure. I mean, even on MSNBC, they're admitting the failures of Joe Biden and giving credit where credit is due. More. I mean, Rapid Response is posting mainstream news clips. This is crazy. Presidential historian John Meacham: all credit to President Trump and his unconventional team.
One with whom you one of the things about honesty and citizenship and a sense of, I would say, maturity about what people in a democracy should do is, even if someone with whom you disagree about 99 things does the 100 really well, you should say so, because that's what intellectual honesty is. And so all credit to President Trump and his, as you say, unconventional team. But if he picks an unconventional team, that's fine, right? I remember once asking the senior President Bush after something terrible had happened. It's a sign of something that I can't remember what it was after he'd been president. Something had happened in the Middle East. And I said, this is a man who spent decades dealing with this. I said, Mr. President, do you think this ever gets resolved? And he said, God, I don't know. That's what one of the most experienced diplomatic presidents in American history thought, is that it was an unknowable thing. One of the things about...
how mainstream media singing Trump's praises. This is remarkable, folks. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this changes everything. While Democrats shut down our government and ground our planes, President Trump just proved what real leadership looks like. He didn't send troops. He sent negotiators. He didn't drop bombs. He picked up the phone. Now every hostage is coming home. Families are reuniting. The killing has stopped. Even ABC News admits it's remarkable. Even Democrat Senator Fetterman wants to give him a Nobel Prize. Remember, Obama got his Peace Prize for promises. Trump earned it with results. No wars started, multiple wars ended. Peace through strength isn't just a slogan anymore. It is Trump's legacy. And while Schumer plays games with paychecks, Trump's playing chess on the world stage and winning. So here's my question. Do you think that Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize more than Obama? Yes or no? Drop your answer below and visit our merch shop and wear your support for the president who actually delivers peace.